Why logistics was from liner, I found it more exciting, more challenging, and I think the growth prospects in the logistics business is much higher than being in the shipping line business.
All right, welcome back to Signature Global Network, the podcast series. We're talking about all those heroes from logistics industry. Today, I have someone very special. His name is Pradeep Raman. He's the CEO of Wiz, and he's such an amazing guy who has built huge business. And I want to leave him to introduce himself to you. But again, welcome, Pradeep.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure being on the channel and on your podcast.
Thank you, Pradeep. So would you please just have a quick introduction about who you are to this audience who don't know you yet? Thank you.
So hi, I'm Pradeep here. I've been in the business for 20 years. I'm based out of Singapore. I started my journey in 2005 with a shipping line called MOL, which is presently called ONE, which is the Japanese conglomerate, but erstwhile it was called Mitsui O.S.K. Shipping Lines. I started as a global management trainee. I was based out in Bombay, and then I had a few training programs in Japan and Tokyo and also in Singapore. And then all through I started there. Then post that I worked for OCL, again a large Hong Kong-based shipping line. I was heading the logistics division, and that was my first foray into the logistics side of the business, then being from the liner side of the business, right? So two different things. So why logistics was from liner, I found it more exciting, more challenging, and I think the growth prospects in the logistics business is much higher than being in the shipping line business, and that's why I moved. So I started off with the individual contributor being in Chennai, and then in the matter of four and a half years, I moved to the role of the regional sales manager of South and East India. That was my company two. My company three was a company called Intra, which is a shipping line company which was based on the e-commerce side of the business. So they were a portal for all shipping lines put together. They were selling the SIs and booking platform to all the shipping lines and making customers get into the digitalization world, right? That is the time when shipping was becoming digital from the regular plug and play model. So
Yeah.
I was heading sales for South Asia. So I was covering three countries at that. It was India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. And at that point, I was 27, 28. Was quite fast. Then after that, I did about a year and a half. Then I joined the AP Moller Maersk Group, part of their inland division. At that point, we had a division in India called APM Terminals India Private Limited, which is part of the Maersk Group. And I started with them as the sales manager for one business unit, scaled up to being the business head for one unit, and then became three units in South. And then my last position with them was the head of solution sales for South Asia. So all this happened in a matter of 7.5 years. I spent 7.5 years there. Then again, a very short while in air freight because I thought I've done enough in the ocean freight. I want to learn something new. So the bug in me to learn something new was always there. So I said, okay, let's learn the air side of the business. So I went into a domestic air freight player in India called SpiceJet, heading the P&L for southern India, which was almost close to about 15 stations, micro and macro. I was leading a team of almost 120 people all across South India. Then, of course, COVID hit, air freight dropped, and a lot of things happened in the airline business. It was difficult, and that is the time when there was this new idea in the business where digitalization of freight came up as Wiz. So I was the first employee for Wiz. We were a tech-enabled, angel-funded company by a marquee investor in Switzerland who kind of did the angel funding with us. I joined them the first employee. I grew the business. I grew the commercial team. The operation team was heading their complete outfit. I grew it to almost to 25 million US, profitable, PAT profitable, and then we had a Series A infusion of funds from a very large investor from the US called Tiger Global, and it was also very large marquee investors in India and Germany. I moved to Singapore to head the global energy because energy has always been very close to my heart. So I was always doing a lot of business with solar panel and wind right from my time in Merz. So that is also what continued in Wiz. And I moved to Singapore in 2022, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 2022. Then in Singapore, we initially was part of the global team, and then I took over as the P&L head for Singapore and Malaysia. And very recently, I got elevated as the CEO of Southeast Asia. So that's been my journey of 20 years in the shipping and logistics business.
Wow. What a journey. You're taking us the whole 20 years in the last few minutes. That's amazing. And we can tell that everybody who's watching how much you've learned, how much challenges you have faced, but you also conquered. And I believe there's a great message behind there, particularly for those who are in logistics industry or they're still thinking, should I come to the industry? Is it so bad or is it so hard? But you're giving some hope to the younger generations because I love that you tell us you've got the business so profitable, which is awesome. We would like to know more. Okay, so the next question I have for you is on the leadership side, how do you build and lead strong teams in this industry?
No, I think I'll come back to your point on youngsters getting into the business, right? When I joined shipping 20 years back, and I was from a marquee B school from India, nobody joined the shipping logistics business, right? Because everybody was looking at finance, is looking at manufacturing, automobile was big. Nobody knew about shipping. But today, without tariffs and trades and trade wars, people really understand how important this business is. And I think post-COVID, people really started looking at logistics. And they realize that there is so much can be changed in the logistics business. So every youngster now knows what logistics is, and that's one industry where I feel that tech is still not really played a large part, unlike the other industries like banking and finance and manufacturing. So it is still a very nascent tech-enabled business, and it has a long way to go. Now, coming back to your question on leadership, right? How do you build teams? I think building teams is a very different journey when you work for large global companies, and it's a very different journey when you work for a nascent brand or a brand which is not known to the market, right? When a large global business, your HR plays a very important team in getting you the right candidate. He does the LIPI, as he call it in the Maersk world. He kind of does the initial screening, and then he gets you a candidate, and then you select the best out of the lot, right? In a startup, you're the HR, you are the recruitment agency, you are the so-called talent management acquisition. Everything is done, so you have to have multiple hats. And I think LinkedIn has been one of my major success of getting good candidates, right? So I spend diligently in my initial years of in biz to build people, looking at people's profile, look at what they have done, what they have achieved, and then reach out to them. And I used to personally reach out to them and say, hey, we are a new startup, are you interested? And that's how I used to get candidates, right? And building a team, I think it's got a lot to do with just not about a salary. Salary is of course important. It's about the right culture, the right fitment, the right attitude, and the growth story which you need to give each and everybody, right? See, as a leader, I think you take responsibility on not only yourself, and it's not about your growth story. It's about getting your teams also to achieve what they want to do in their lives, be it personal or professional, right? So if you have the right intent, you have the right talent, and you think that you have the right mindset, and I think anybody will stick on to you because you are showing them the light and showing them growth path. So that's how I think I have built my team across. So all my team people, attrition has been the least with the teams I have built, and I have grown. And I think a testimony of that is when I moved out from India, a lot of people did move out, and they said, Pradeep, because you're leaving, we are leaving because we don't have the same flavor. So I can't really comment because every leader is different and the way. But for me, I believe in my people. I give them responsibility. I don't shun away, and I give them opportunities for them to grow. That's been my style.
Wow, thank you so much. That was very insightful, and I love all the tips you just shared. I'm sure many CEOs outside there who are watching this podcast must have taken away a lot of gold from this. Thank you so much, Pradeep. Now, the next question I have for you is what makes a great logistics leader, in your opinion?
A great logistics leader is somebody who really cares about the team, has a future mindset, knows about the market, about the uncertainties happening today, and works very, very clearly or for the customer and not for themselves. Once you understand the customer's pain, I think you've become a logistic leader by yourself. I think I've kind of given you all the major facts.
Wow, that's awesome. And I agree with that. Because if you usually you can teach people something by telling them, but if you're leading them by example, that's another higher level. And I agree with that. Thank you so much for your insight. The next question I have for you is on challenges. What has been your toughest challenge in logistics and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge is uncertainty in the business. I think challenges pre-COVID were very different from post-COVID. pre-COVID challenge, the markets were actually you could forecast the market. You know there was a trend. You know there was a trend during the Chinese New Year. You know there was a trend during the Golden Week. And if in India, you know there was the Diwali season, and in the US, you know there was a Christmas season. But post COVID, um, I mean nobody can predict anything, right? So that the biggest challenge in our business is the prediction, which has become very vague today. There has been suddenly when the ships go
Yes.
and there is the ships get filled for no reason for no month. We know there's no cargo inflow. Suddenly the ships are
Yes.
full. So it's been quite crazy. We're not able to predict this because of so much uncertainties in the world. Tariffs, trade wars, the wars in Russia,
Yeah.
no issues with in
The
Europe,
tariff and everything.
the
Yep.
tariffs, yeah, wars, and things like the Iran issue. These are the things actually have a lot of issues in the logistics business today.
Wow, thank you. I've been talking to many CEOs, Pradeep, and I think that's something in common. Everybody's talking about the unpredictable stuff, but that's also the beauty of working in the industry because you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and you have to be a superhero, get ready for the day, and save the day as well. Thank you. So the next question I have for you is, how is technology changing the way you work?
In a big way. AI is doing a lot of rounds. I think technology, as I said earlier, in our business is very nascent. We are still, I think the bots are playing a major role. The people who are losing the system and the cloud platforms are actually doing a lot of things. Track and trace and having a depository of data. These are all new things which have really come up, right? Customers do value this if you really because these are tangible things that you can show into the table. They find that that your workforce can be reduced. A lot of things the system can do on your own, which earlier they were depending on multiple people. So it has a major role to play, but I think I still feel there's a long way to go. Industry is still a lot backwards when it comes to technology.
Yeah. And I always joke that, I mean, I was joking with people saying many people are still living in the dinosaur age in the logistics industry. I think, like you said earlier, many industries are already very advanced in AI and everything, but logistics is just quite slow in responding to some degree. We don't know why, but it is the reality at this stage. So it might take a little bit time. Yeah.
No, the reason for that is the oldest trade in the world is shipping logistics, right? All the
True.
other industries have been a byproduct of shipping logistics. Trading was the oldest business in the world,
Mm,
and we were at, what are shipping? I mean, what is logistics? Basically, being a broker's job, right? We are
mm.
brokers in between. Ships have been existing, for centuries. It's been the oldest trade. So the people who are working there also are very traditional minded, and they love doing a certain kind of work which they've been used to. So change when it comes, it becomes a little difficult for them to take and adopt
Yeah.
change because they're saying, why do we change? Because everything is working so well. So that's been the
Yes,
major reason. That's been the
that's
major
right.
reason.
Thank you. The answer is the roots is too deep. They're too deep from day one. All right. The
Absolutely.
next question, what innovations are you most excited about in supply chain at the moment?
I think the innovation in supply chain, I think, is about the most exciting one for me today is control tower, which a lot of people are doing it, where a customer has a complete understanding sitting in front of the screen, right from his suppliers to his purchasers to his customers to the shipping lines to the airlines to the data, and that is something exciting, and not very people are offering this. I think very few companies are doing it on a global scale, but I think that's real innovation and it really adds value to a user. Yeah, that's the answer to it.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. That's a very insightful answer. Next question regarding the business building side. You built a scared businesses, and what is your approach when starting from scratch?
The 0 to 1 is the most difficult phase. You have to think business 24/7. It's not a Monday to Friday. It's not a 9 to 6 job. Of course, physical hours of working can be 9 to 6, but I always tell that it's a 24-hour job. Even if you're on a holiday, you need to think about business, especially in the startup scale-up phase. You can't think of anything because customers are the kings and they are the critical matters, and you'll have to make them happy and get them engaged and get them on board. So you'll also always think what I do next, right? On a Saturday, Sunday, I always think what am I going to do next week? Which customers I'm going to target, what products I need to offer, what solutions I need to be different. So the most difficult scale is 0 to 1 phase.
Thank you, Pradeep. I think this is pretty much similar to any new business, not just in the logistics. When you are in the business you are in, you cannot get out. Like you have to switch on, you have to well plan for the next week or even year or ahead. Because if you're not, you're falling behind. The stress will be too much. And you're right, with for 24/7 stuff like that, there's a lot of memes online laughing about working in the logistics industry means you don't have enough sleep. But just a disclaimer here for those who haven't been in the industry yet, you're watching this video, it's not that bad, okay? You look at Pradeep, look at me, look at so many people who actually already not just survive, but also thrive in the industry. It's not that scary. In fact, when Pradeep just shared earlier, with the challenges are quite interesting. That's why he liked to stay in the industry because you cannot find things like that as interesting as this in any other industry. Because some industry can be so easy. If it's only about earning money, it's pretty easy for different ways you can earn because there are thousands, millions of ways you can earn money. But for logistics, as Pradeep you shared earlier, you are serving your customer 24/7. I think it's a very respectful job. So if anybody who wants to come into industry, it is a respectful position you're looking for. All right, that's a disclaimer. Next question. How do you turn around underperforming teams to profit, more profitable?
I do it in a different way by which the first thing is I think cut the fat. When I say cut the fat, cut the expenses which will not affect anybody, right? The biggest fat in any organization is probably the rental fat, which is expensive. So people can still, I don't want to cut salaries, I don't want to cut people. The first thing which you do is you cut areas where which you can cut the cost, which will not affect the livelihood of people, right? So cut all
Mhm.
the unnecessary things like the cost of travel, cost of expenditure, cost of entertainment, cost of rentals. Once you cut all that, then you start coming into the cream.
Mm.
Then you look at people who are performing, who are not performing, number of jobs to a salesman, and then have. I think in my way of looking at this, every guy should be pulled, or every sales guy should have a backup documentation customer service till the guy is completely stressed, right? When I find
Mm.
my team chaotic, so shipment number of shipments going up and down and they're fighting, then I know that they are stressed. Only when they're completely stressed, then I add another person. So
Yeah.
that's the way to keep down the cost and increase the business, and then make. If everybody is very comfortable coming at 9 and leaving at 6, that means something is wrong. That means your company is too comfortable. The people are too comfortable, then your cost can be reduced. So keep the cost low, pay them well, incentivize them well, and ensure that they take on a good salary, but ensure that they are completely engaged. And that's the only way I look at turning things. And I've done it in the past, and I've done it here as well.
Nice. Thank you so much. I think that's really insightful. And I believe that's also what I believe as well. And as when you say 9 to 5, you made me laugh because if you come to Australia, if you work in a company, everybody leave even before 5 sometimes. So it's crazy. But uh, just move the culture outside there because Asia, we always work longer. But I agree that if people are too comfortable, definitely they're not growing and there will be a problem because if they are not growing, the company won't grow. And you have to, instead of just increase the salary, because you want to be nice to your team, but there's no hunger, right? So it's the best way is to say, hey, the salary is the same. If you want more efforts, you want to get more, you need to make more efforts. We can give you more bonus or commission, that kind of stuff. That would be way better to drive the revenue, drive the profit. So thank you. I love that. Thanks. All right, next question for you is regarding the customers. How do you win and retain big customers?
The bigger the customer, the longer it takes. You have to be mindful that the bigger ones are the global names. They have a set process, they have an RFQ, they have a compliance system, they have records, they need bank balances, your financial standings, all that. So you'll have to mentally be prepared that if you have a guy who has the big names, it will take time for him to get it on board. But you just can't depend on running a company with just the big names. You need to have a mix of mid-sized names, SME customers, mid-market customers, and the large corporate ones, right? Which
Mhm.
we call the enterprise customers. In my view, I rather will leave the SMEs across because it's very painful dealing with traders and payments not coming in time. It's extremely
Yes.
painful. I would grow with the mid market and the enterprise. Enterprise is something which I would keep it for a long term. And big market is something I would immediately grab and start doing it, so that my
Mm,
cost is taken care, the company is taken care, it's healthy, and I know which are the guys who are hungry and who will make impact for the future, and I will keep that team separate and keep the present team separate. That's how I handle
nice.
large ones.
Well done. Thank you. Wow, there's a lot of gold today, guys. You jump into the right channel. Thank you, Pradeep. And I have the next question also related to customers. What do customers want most from logistics partners today?
Reliability. One word.
Reliab
Reliability.
Reliability?
Reliability and trustworthiness.
Yeah, they
Once
can
they give
rely
you
on.
a shipment, they want to ensure that this is seamless. It's like a well-oiled machinery, right? Once they give it to you, they want to ensure that it happens well and is delivered well. So that takes over time, and that's why in our business, the salesmen play such an important part. Unlike the other business where in a bank they will have one guy coming explaining the product, and then once you sign up, there'll be another person coming and signing the contract, and that's it. The
Mm,
sales guy will vanish, right? In our business, we see salesmen pick businesses and they carry on businesses because customers face it's not the company, it's about individual people and how they what value they can bring to the table. It's very difficult for companies to take over unless you have a well-oiled machinery like a DHL or an Expeditors, where it takes time. Mid-scale enterprises depends on a lot of people. That's also good in a way. It's bad in a way because bad in a way is companies depend on individuals and they walk away, the business walks away. Good in a way, AI does not play a large scope in our business because it's still relationship based business, and relationship holds a longer view than AI. So I hope I've answered that.
yeah, nice. All right, thank you. So the next question I have for you is regarding to the future. Where do you see the logistics industry in 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years, I see it being a more mature industry. People will start recognizing it as a mainstream. Today, a lot of institutions globally have now have professional logistics courses. You'll have more professionals coming into the business than amateurs, where who have I mean, today if you look at it, most people who have it was not by they only by got into the industry by chance.
Mhm.
It was by chance they got into it. It was not by choice.
Yeah.
But in the future, in the next 5 to 10 years, a lot of people will get into the industry by choice.
Hmm.
I think that will be a major thing, and it will also a lot of technology will play into play. You'll have more seamless activity, and people will only will have a tech-enabled flight system or a flight player will be
Hmm.
adopted or acceptable by global players. That will become a mandate.
Yeah. Wow. I like that positive thinking. And I think I agree to some degree because at the beginning, everybody just jumped to land it on the industry. It's like the ocean chose Moana, not Moana chose the ocean. But now many people intentionally choose the industry because they even have courses learn in university and stuff that they teach in logistics. And it's getting more attention. For me, I'm a big advocate about logistics. And I'm also gonna be on the stage soon in the TEDx in the world talking about on behalf of logistics people. So more people will hear our voice. I like that, Pradeep. Thank you. All right, the next question I have for you is related to the legacy. So what do you want your impact on this industry to be as an entrepreneur, as a CEO? What do you want your impact?
So
Yeah.
I think as a professional, my impact, what I want my legacy to be is somebody who can be trustworthy,
Mm,
somebody who people and customers are trusted, and somebody who has helped build teams, and somebody who has been a guiding star for many youngsters who are doing well in the business, right? So
mm.
if the youngsters who have really climbed up the ladder look up to me and say, you know what, I'm here only because of Pradeep, and he has motivated us, guided us, taught
Yeah.
us all the right things. That will be my legacy, which I want to leave behind.
I love that. Thank you. I really love that. Now, you have so many insights. Have you thought about sharing your story more broadly, like in a book or a mentorship program?
Not really. I didn't have the time because it's been running for the last 20 years. Next 10 years, I will still be running. Post that, maybe I would definitely want to take up teaching. And that's been on cards. But once I am actively out at 55 is what I plan to be, and then probably I will get into larger mentorship programs, training programs, and maybe teach at a large B school. That's been my passion as well. That's something I would pursue.
So you have thought of that just right now, practically, you still see the company and the business needs you.
Correct.
All right,
Absolutely.
thank you. Now we are building a global network of logistics leaders. Do you see value in being part of that kind of community when you have a community that's full of logistics leaders?
Absolutely, makes a lot of sense because then I get to connect with different part of. See, logistics is very different from land to land, right?
Mm.
The land of the rule changes. What is in Singapore is not what even in Malaysia, right?
Mhm.
So everywhere. So if it's a leader kind of a network where I can reach out to any leader and ask him for some guidance in that particular country, I think it's a great idea, and I
That's
love to be
awesome.
part of it.
Thank you. If you could solve one big problem in global logistics overnight, what would it be?
To have some visibility of what's happening in the next uh, in the in the
To tell
next
the
12 months.
future.
Yeah, and have some sense over if I have to give some visibility to customers on how the rate trends will be. Today, nobody understands it and nobody is able to give an answer. If I had a magic wand, I would say, you know what, I can give you a prediction of the next 12 months and how it's going to be.
The
That's
prediction. I love that answer. Very creative. Thank you. Now, the last but not the least, how can people connect with you or learn more about your work?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Pradeep Raman is my LinkedIn, and you can always connect to me. And if you want any guidance, I'm ready to connect, and you can pin me one to one. And if I have the time, I love definitely like to. And I've actually trained a lot of people, and a lot of people do reach out to me, and I ensure that I give them the time and space, whatever advice I need to do, I actually do them. So I would love to do that for youngsters.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. We really appreciate you being here on this channel. And for those audiences, as he just mentioned, he'll be very active on LinkedIn. Just remember, search his name on LinkedIn. You can connect with him. I believe he has so much insight to share just in this last 20 or 30 minutes. But if you can connect with him, I'm sure this problem, no problem he couldn't solve because he's always available. He's always passionate in building a legacy and helping youngsters as well as solving his clients' problems. Thank you so much, Pradeep, and I look forward to having you another time in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirsi. Pleasure connecting, and thanks for the time. Thank you.